Doesn't that sound like sour grapes? Look, if people are going to publicly mistreat me and they're professing believers, I'm going to confront them. Okay? If they're the usual miscreant, cockroach, bottom of the barrel, scummy atheist, then it's pretty much pointless confronting these people because they're shameless.
Yeah, I won't do that to you, though, because you would apologize when you mess up, and you don't do what they do to you, and it's sad that you had to put up, and you don't do what they do to you, and it's just
Okay, well,
I got a
Theo.
question for you, Darth.
So, yeah, just hold 1 second, Albie,
Sure.
okay?
Sure.
So, Theo, this is my policy. Those people who are regular professing Christians and those who claim to be friends with me and supportive of me, I think that's great. And I appreciate that. But if those individuals are going to share the stage with a small number of people that have gone out of their way to engage in slander and defamation because they can't deal substantively with the line of argumentation that I give out, okay? And engage in slander and defamation, such as Angstray, Godless Girl, Tom Rabbit, James is Tired, okay? These people are guilty of engaging in slander and defamation and doing so gratuitously, right? And they have behaved in a disgusting fashion in the way that they have attacked me. There are plenty of people, both friend and foe alike, believers, unbelievers, who have criticized me for what they think is the way I conduct myself. And I don't lose any sleep over that, okay? Everyone who comes on this platform is fair game to be criticized, right? Including myself.
But not be slandered. Definitely not slandered.
Right. I'm gonna draw the line. And by the way, I'm not just talking about this low level crap dishing stuff that the usual miscreant atheists do. I'm talking about people who really cross a line of slander and defamation, or I should say, outright chronic stalking behavior. And I use that literally.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah, I know that you're subject to that too.
Well, through a mutual friend of mine, of ours, that hates us both, by the way, but yeah.
And who would that be?
I'll tell you in private.
Okay, just send me a text with that then. So Theo, I removed you from the block list. Okay.
Well, don't forget me too.
Are you blocked?
Yeah, man. I had no idea who James Tyler was. I went to go debate with Jews, man.
Okay. All right. Well, usually what I try to do is send somebody a text message, okay? You and Theo, you're free to do whatever you want. You're big boys. I'm not going to tell you what to do, okay? But I'm also a big boy, and I'm free to do what I want to do. And if I have regular Christians who are going to be debating, those of whom I like, I'm going to be consistent with my policy. I'm not going to show favoritism. Where certain professing Christians who are regular conversants and debaters get blocked and other ones don't when you're sharing the stage. James is Tired should be treated like a pariah. Okay? He has doubled and tripled down in slandering and defaming me, calling me a racist, making false accusations, and what's even worse is that he got it from the miscreant atheists. And James is Tired even said that one of the miscreant atheists, Tom Rabbit, was furthering Christianity by attacking me, saying I'm a racist. Okay, now that's disgusting.
Hey, you're not a racist, Darth. You're not. It's just...
So, just to let you know, Albie, okay, I will unblock you, okay? But if any of the fellow Christians that I know share the stage with Godless Girl, Angstray, Tom Rabbit, or James is Tired, whoever does that is going to get blocked by me. Okay? Those individuals need to be treated like pariahs.
Yeah.
Okay?
Well, I think you should unblock like a lot of them, and just give them like Yeah, just
I've had a number.
time.
Yeah, I've had a number of people who will contact me, okay, and say, "Can you please unblock me?" Okay, and unless they're individuals who have behaved in a chronic way, I always honor the request, unblock them, and just say, "I'm unblocking you. Please do not share the stage, speak to, or cooperate with these small number of individuals who have been named, because they should be treated like pariahs." Okay.
Well,
And if you yeah.
yeah. Well, I was just gonna say, I think we should give him maybe like an hour to respond, or a little bit of time, like maybe like a day.
Well, the problem is, sometimes people ignore these text messages, and I'm not going to remember. I'm not going to take notes on this issue. Anybody who gets blocked by me can contact me directly or indirectly and request that I unblock them, and 99% of the time, I instantly block them and just say, "Please don't share the stage or converse with James is Tired, Godless Girl, Hank Strike, Tom Rabbit." Okay?
Yeah. All right. So yeah. So what do you think about the topic? So it says, "Are Christians called to love and bless the Jews?" Like, what are your thoughts?
I agree with that. I believe that God still has a plan involving Israel in the last times. I'm a premillennial pre-tribulationist. So I believe that when Jesus returns, he will save the nation of Israel from imminent destruction.
I hold to that position as well. Just post-trib, pre-mill.
That's fine. But I am staunchly pro-Israel. Are they a perfect country? No. But we have much of the world against them. I'm just thankful that the United States is a country that still blesses Israel, because it really scares me if we turn our back on Israel. What could befall this country? Look what just happened just with COVID, and that was nothing. Okay.
Yeah, and I would personally say that Israel is not pleasing to God, and they're not going to be until they call upon the name of the Lord, in which the Lord will save them. Right? I personally believe, just like Zechariah 13:2 says, there's an unclean spirit in that land that causes them to have false prophets, causes them to hate Christianity with a dark passion. Right? But this is not to say that we are to be unnecessarily offensive or anything like that.
No, of course. Yeah. Yep.
It's very, very. As a matter of fact, Revelation 11:8 says that where the dead bodies of the two witnesses lie, they lie in the streets of the city called Sodom and Egypt, where their Lord was crucified. Ultimately, I believe it's going to be so dark that the only light that's going to come to save that nation will be the light of the true Christ, in which he's going to come and fight for them when all the nations are gathered up against them.
Yeah, what we see that world circumstances are moving more rapidly in the direction of a one world government. Okay, I think it's just a matter of time. I personally believe that there's going to be some type of one world monetary unit, and you're going to need a governing body over that. And I think, and this is my conjecture, that this will be the governing body in the one world government, which probably will have its origin in what may be directly or indirectly what we call the European Union today.
You think so? I'm pretty. The Jews are expecting two messiahs to come back. One is going to be Ben Joseph, the other one Ben David. Notice high priest and also king. And again, I can't be dogmatic on this. I have no idea, but I believe that the Antichrist is going to want to rule where Christ is going to rule from. And I believe that the false prophet will be that priest in the temple. But again, I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, I don't need to belabor the original point that I came in here, but if people are going to viciously attack me rather than just, this little adolescent like drive-by trolling, and they're professing Christians, right? I'm going to confront them. That's why I confronted Gavin. And you see where he went into a complete meltdown, right?
Hey, Darth, I also wanted to ask you something else as far as your conversation with metaphysician. How did that? That's recorded, right? I want to listen to that.
Yeah, there's I'm really not happy with him because afterwards he posted a copy of the video and he entitled it "Darth Struggles to Defend the Trinity." You know, which is a sleazy title. There was no struggling at all, and in fact, if you actually listen to the interaction, he was on the losing end there. Okay. He kept on making this ridiculous argument that if the Trinity is God, the Father is God, the Spirit is God, okay, the Son is God, okay, he goes, well, you have four gods there. And I said, well, you're bastardizing the use of language here. When we say the Trinity is God, sometimes we can refer to the Trinity as God in terms of a predication of identity or quantitativeness. Other times, we speak of something being God, that it is qualitatively God. Right?
Were you guys going at it philosophically or going through the scripture?
Yeah, philosophically. I didn't go through it particular verses because his first he doesn't, for Muslims, they don't care what the New Testament says, okay? Because they'll just say, well, it's corrupted, right? So,
even though their sources confirm it, but yeah.
Of course, yeah. The Quran affirms the Hebrew and the Christian scriptures.
And the tafsirs. Exactly.
Okay. He was attacking it philosophically, and I explained to him, I didn't use this analogy, but I explained it with somebody else. Imagine you order a pizza, right? And, you know, let's say I'm visiting with you, you know, and we order a pizza. Or you order a pizza and it comes, and I go, what's in the box? And you go, pizza. Right? And I said, oh. I said, how many did you get? And you said, one. Well, okay. And so we open it up, and we see that there are 8 individual slices in a circular fashion. Right? And suppose I was new to Western civilization, and I don't know what pizza is, right? And I point to slice number 2, and I said, what's that? And you say, pizza. I point to slice number 3. What's that? Pizza. And we go through all of the 3 slices. Excuse me, I'm tired. All of the 8 slices. And I say, okay, so there's 8 slices, and they're each pizza? And you go, yeah. I say, but wait a minute, you told me you had 1 pizza. You know, if you say you got 1 and then you got 8, well, that makes 9. Right? Now, is that not convoluted logic?
Right.
Okay. Now, something can be referred to in terms of identity or quantitativeness, and other times something can be referred to qualitatively.
Brother, you mind if I give an example? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. Listen. I
want to give you an example of this.
Let me just say this real quick.
Sure.
I do not mind when people interrupt me as long as it's not a tactic of being disruptive. So be my guest.
In Genesis chapter 5, verse 1 and 2, the KJV will render it correctly. Otherwise, you know, for us who have an interlinear, we can just go to the interlinear simply to see that whatever man or mankind in verse 2 is actually being used. It should actually, in Genesis chapter 5, verse 1 and 2.
Okay.
So I'm going to read it from the KJV. They do a better job of translating it. Nevertheless, though, when mankind is there in the Hebrew, it's Adam. But notice this. This is the book of the generation of Adam. In the likeness of God made he him, singular. Male and female created he them, and blessed them, and called their name Adam, in the day they were created. So I asked them, what's the name of the female that was given by God in the day that she was created? Adam. But how can she be called Adam and Adam be called Adam, yet they're distinct from one another?
Because one is a predication of qualitativeness.
You got it, but they're both still being called Adam, and yet they're distinct from one another, right?
Yeah, and you see, this is the failure, the deliberate failure and refusal of Muslims to understand basic reason, logic, and semantics. Okay? So when he was insisting that we have a problem of four gods, I'm just saying, you're just, you're deliberately being dishonest here, okay? Because that's the best that he's got, okay, to attack the Trinity. So we can refer to the Trinity or the Godhead either in terms of a predication of identity or quantitativeness, as to there's one God, or we can refer to that in terms of qualitativeness. So when it says in John 1, in the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God.
I'm there right now.
Yeah, these are statements of qualitativeness, okay?
Let me just show you what I was going to demonstrate by going to John 1:1. It's funny that you went there. So I'm going to replace the Word with Eve and replace God with Adam in light of what we just read in Genesis 5, verse 1 and 2, where Adam is called male and female in Genesis 5:2. In the beginning was Eve, and Eve was with Adam, and Eve was Adam. In the beginning was Eve, and Eve was with Adam, and Eve was Adam.
Well, we have to understand that the word Adam, is it being used as a predication of identity or a predication of quality? Okay? So when Jesus referred to himself directly and indirectly as God, that did not mean he was claiming that he's the Trinity.
Exactly.
Okay? What he's saying, and this is what I explained to the Muslim physician, excuse me. I said, when God communicates to us about himself, he cannot speak univocally, because if he did, he would have to speak exhaustively. We would have to be omniscient in order to understand God, right? So God has to speak to us in terms of analogical terms, right? So what this relates to is that when we human beings refer to certain things, we use terms or tokens that sometimes speak quantitatively, sometimes in terms of identity, and other times in terms of qualitativeness. And we also speak of things in terms of our perspective, right? So, for example, when you and I attempt to communicate what something is by certain words, semantics, or tokens, we're communicating in a perspectival way. So the words that we're using can never fully express exhaustively what something is, because we'd have to be God. So our words always are capped. They're limited. But you see, Jake, the metaphysician, if we weren't talking about the Trinity, he would fully acknowledge it. But because it blows his defeater out of the water, he just pretends that it's of unimportance.
I went on stage today to try to ask him a question, right? And I posed the question, but he wouldn't get off mute. And then after 10 minutes, he left the room. I don't know if he was busy or whatever the case may be. But my question to him was this.
I give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. If he can simply articulate what the Christian belief of the Trinity is. And I would assume that he would say, okay, Christians believe that God is the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, right? Even though he doesn't believe that. Then my argument would have been this. Well, that would make you smarter than your God, Allah, because in chapter 5, verse 116, Allah thinks that Jesus and Mary are taken up by Allah and they're being identified as gods next to Allah. And on top of that, to further go on,
That's Surah 4 and 5 that happens.
yeah, chapter 5, verse 116, and then in chapter 5, verse 73 to 75, right? The other part of Allah again gets wrong is that Allah says Allah is the third of three, right? Lo, Allah is the third of three. So condemning. So this is how he's viewing that the Christians believe that God is three. I don't know any Christian or any creed that would ever say that God is the third of three. So here is proof that Allah can't even get the Trinity right, and yet here's a creature like metaphysician.
I brought that up. I brought that
Beautiful,
up.
bro. Beautiful.
And he ran away.
I would too.
If you actually go and listen, I finally had just, he had to go. Okay, I had to remove him. Right? When I say ran away, he ran away by refusing to, we went at length listening to his critique and my responding and going back and forth, okay? And then when I said, okay, so I've already answered you at length about your objection, I said, let's now take a look at what your Quran says about the Trinity. And he didn't want to touch it. He didn't want to talk about it because it's devastating. But
regarding that,
hold on a second, Albie. Don't forget that there's also a verse in Surah 4 as well. That when we can look at those three verses, one in chapter 4 and 2 in chapter 5, we can look at them individually and collectively, and it presents a very devastating historical blunder on the part of Muhammad. Okay, go ahead, sir.
So you know how you had a chat with the Muslim metaphysician, right? So that guy believes that.
Is this Bean?
No.
Okay, go ahead. This isn't Billy.
Okay. No. So okay. So that guy belongs to a sect called the Afari Creed. So they believe that they affirm the apparent meaning of God's hands, feet, and everything else, but deny the modality of it. So they do not accept the metaphor. What?
Okay, so they don't accept that God speaks of himself. God employs anthropomorphisms.
So they accept that, technically it's the other way around. So, it's hard to explain this one. So just let me finish with this. So they reject metaphoric understandings of God's hands and feet, but they affirm that God has a hand and has a feet, but they don't say how he has it.
And he believes that.
While rejecting a metaphorical understanding.
Okay, well that's just stupid.
Yeah, it is. But then, at the same time, so then pretty much, if you watch the debate between, it was called Jake the Muslim Metaphysician versus Dr. Khalil Andani, pretty much that position literally forces him to an anthropomorphic God. And that is where it gets really, because what does apparent meaning mean anymore at that one point anyway? Because you don't have any point of reference to use anymore.
Yeah, well, that's he's a pretty smart young man, and I'm surprised that he would fall for such a stupid idea.
Well, I'm about to send something even more. I'm about to post something from thesuno.com, but pretty much on the chat, it pretty much mentions that God has a loin that some primordial womb grabs onto from time immemorial, which is really weird. If you went by his if you applied the Afari type of application on it, so why would you even be discussing about the Trinity with anyone when you believe something so ridiculous of an
I know.
which pretty much
that's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a very good point. When I said that the Father and the Son and the Spirit are internal distinctions within the one substance and essence of God, He said, well, they're parts then. I said, no, they're not parts any more than one of the dimensions of a cube is a part. It's a distinction, not a part.
Well, to honestly, even under Sunni Islam, he accepts there are within Allah. According to the philosopher, one of the scholars, Ghazali, he says that God's essence has real distinctions within Himself. Pretty much, chapter 7 of it was chapter 7 against the philosophers. So if he wants to throw Ghazali out as well under the bus, well, there's actually academic papers written that I've actually seen a couple of academic papers written out defending the Trinity, pointing out Ghazali's understanding. I think I can think of one or two of them. Right.
Disappointed with him, and I don't plan on talking with him again unless he changes the title of the video.
Well, he would not. Okay, he would not debate. He would not debate. I don't think he would actually debate how he.
I was referring to the title of the video that he entitled "Dark Struggles to Defend the Trinity."
Well, let's just say this: if you start holding him to his creed, then he can't really do that, because there's plenty of videos online that points out that how he debates one way against atheists and another way versus his other fellow Muslims, and which is pretty much double standards.
We do that too, based on 1 Corinthians 9:19-23. We meet people where they're at.
No. What I meant by so for instance, he uses the contingency argument, right? So so then I will ask, okay, so Jake, you believe the contingency argument? Okay, that's what, okay. But then the moment, so then if you believe there's real distinctions within God, then are those things distinctions necessary or contingent? And then that pretty much destroys his use of the contingency argument, because once you accept this, because then you're just like, okay, so are those attributes necessary or are they contingent? The whole is only the whole. The whole is only the whole if yeah, well, the whole is only the whole if the parts exist beforehand.
But yeah.
And that's what Tahi
saying Dark Struggles to Defend the Trinity.
I think, because I wanna have a go at him. Here's the thing, Darth. I know he's not going to change the title. I would say, who cares? Go after him, but this time, go for the judgment.
Just go after his God. Just go after his God. All right.
I'm going to try.
There was no struggling. There was no struggling. Okay.
But that goes to show that he got lost, he got buried. That's why he made that title. When you make a title like that, right, it's to show and try to poison the minds of the viewers, right, to already prepare them for. So it's a cowardice. It's a real cowardice way out. But
I've seen people do that before. Yeah.
Here's the thing: they can't account also for this, right? What does ahad mean? Ahad in the Arabic, same thing like ahad, right? So then, over and over again, it speaks about Allah being ahad. Well, they actually can't give a definition for that, number one. Number two, 5 times in the Quran, al-Humma is being used of Allah. And you know what al-Humma means? In the Arabic, al-Humma, in the Hebrew, Elohim. Why the plural for Allah?
No, Allah is different to the God.
Can you repeat that?
And yeah, absolutely. Al-Humma, which is used 5 times in the Quran. I'll send you the back chat of where.
Okay.
And I'll also send you the links of every time Allah is being identified.
Is that supposed to be a transliteration of Elohim?
The Muslim
You got it.
So, but Well, if it's a transliteration,
Three
look, you're making a really good point. But when you bring even devastating points, they don't care. They just throw up this cognitive filter. It doesn't. You can go.
No, they don't want to debate
Sarah
the
4 and 5.
Oh, this guy is a liar.
Well, even
they don't want to debate the Trinity with alongside the Tawhid.
But here's the thing: even the word Tawhid means unify. Unify what?
In fact, I might start using
What do you unify? That's what
I mean,
Tawhid means, which you won't find in the Quran. And then on top of it, then you can go on and make a case because they're big on shirk, meaning giving partners or associating partners with Allah. If you do that, that's called shirk, and that's capital punishment. But lo and behold, not only do you have the spirit of Allah, who allegedly is supposed to be Gabriel, yet if you show them Surah chapter 16, ayah 2, show them that the spirit is distinct from the angels and commands the angels, and the spirit proceeds forth from Allah and actually creates life in Mary. And I'm sorry, I gotta say this. This is gonna be vile, but we're all mature here. Allah has to arouse Mary first in order, because unless a woman is aroused, she cannot have children, by the way. That's
Look at what Muhammad gets married as a wife at the end of the time in heaven, pretty much. It gets even worse.
Yeah.
I'm convinced that the reason why people would believe, this convoluted and incoherent stuff is it's the nature of cultism, that you do not want to believe that your country of origin, your nationality, your cultural heritage, and your family lineage have all been duped. And so in order to save face, you just defend the system in face of its just absurdity. It is no different than the Mormons and the Jehovah's Witnesses that I have had to deal with over 40 years being a Christian. They will defend those organizations to their deaths, even in the face of complete incoherency.
Listen to this, Darth.
It's the nature, yeah.
Darth, listen to this, right? Allah and his companions seek to inherit, and I wrote a little article a while ago, in regards to notes that I've compiled together. And here's what I wrote: Allah and his companions seek to inherit the earth from humans, right? That's chapter 19, verse 80. Then goes on to say Allah is the best of the inheritors, chapter 21, verse 89. What's the implication? There are other inheritors, but Allah is the best of the deceivers, chapter 3, verse 54, who will inherit the earth, chapter 15, verse 23. So, who is he inheriting from, number one? Number two, why is Allah being identified as the best of the inheritors? Exactly, right? So, when you're looking at these things, you have Zacharias, the father of John the Baptist, supposedly praying to Allah, saying, "You are the best of the inheritors," in chapter 21, verse 89.
Darth, one thing you should watch is you should watch the videos, the clubhouse rooms, the recorded clubhouse rooms about between the mention that SIG.
Food does not go into a person's mind. It goes into the stomach, then it goes out of the body. When Jesus said this, he meant there is no food that is wrong to eat.
Because it is from Neoplatonism, but because of
there are logics behind them. In my limited understanding, a life starts and life ends, right?
So whatever.
Yeah, I'm just busy doing something, so I got to keep
Yeah.
my mic on.
Really quick, I just want to tell you this. In chapter 17, verse 101, Allah says, right, that he gave, here's what it says, we surely gave Moses 9 clear signs. You, O prophet, can ask the children of Israel. When Moses came to them, Pharaoh said to them, I really think that you, O Moses, are bewitched. How many signs did Allah give the children of Israel? 9, right? But if you look at Exodus chapter 12, starting with verse 29, 29 is the 10th plague. And lo and behold, the 10th plague is the death of the firstborn. Again, that's removed from the Quran. How dark is this book, man?
Hey, LP, I have a question. Like, okay, because I don't know, like, does the Quran have, like, the Old and New Testament in, like, the Christian Bible?
No. So it wouldn't have that. So their ayahs were revealed at different times, but even that, they weren't compiled during the time of Muhammad. As a matter of fact, there was a bunch of different Qurans by the time, 30, 40 years after the death of Muhammad, where then one person, Al-Buraq, had a monopoly on all the Qurans that were set forth. And in having a monopoly on all the Qurans, he then burned them all and kept the one Quran that he thought would be the best Quran. Unlike the manuscript tradition of Christianity and even the Hebrew scriptures, in order for someone to distort
Are you referring to Uthman?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, Uthman.
It's
It was either Uthman was the third or the fourth beast, and he called in when Albie says he had monopoly. What he's referring to is that Uthman, because there was infighting in that area of the world, because there wasn't a consistency.
Al-Baraq.
Yeah. Well, I do know that Uthman, who was I never can remember whether he's the third or the fourth Caliph. Maybe it's my age. He called in all the Qurans, and he decided which text type he was going to use, and he burned all the rest, and then he made authorized copies of that one that he decided, and then copies were made of that and sent to the major cities, and only copies could make made from those. Okay, so Albie is spot on.
It sort of sounds like Greg Bogson would go over this stuff, and I mean,
So that would be the way to distort, right, something, because one person would have a monopoly on all, right, the traditions, unlike the Christian and the, Hebrew scriptures, especially in light of the Dead Sea Scrolls, that we have a full scroll of Isaiah on display in Israel, right, from chapter 1 to chapter 66, even though there's no chapter or verse divisions, fully intact, reading 99.6% to what we have today in the book of Isaiah. Beautiful. Fully intact, 200 years before Christ. I mean,
It gets more worse though, because during the secession of it's a reason why the Shias have a very huge beef against the Sunnis is that so right after Muhammad's so when they chose the first caliph, they never had Muhammad's son adopted Ali there. I mean, if that's not a standard historically, yeah, it's grabbing power while the family is away. That I mean, even from anyone can see that it's a power grab.
yeah.
It's a standard power grab by these guys.
I do have to go, but I was just wondering, before I go, I just wanted to know, I think I'm going to do a little, fall asleep to listening to Darth and Metaphysicians. I was wondering, where can I catch that? Is it on his YouTube page, or is it because I can't
Listen to
go to
his replay. Just listen to his Khalil Gibran thing.
I can't go to Dart. Oh, okay.
You can listen to that on the replays. Or you can go to Jake's YouTube channel. It says Darth struggles to defend the Trinity.
Oh, and then
Which was just simply a dishonest adolescent tactic.
no. Well, I'll leave a nice comment on our behalf. But yeah, so is there a way where we can just upload video or upload recordings from Clubhouse right to YouTube without me having to screen record for 8 hours?
No, you gotta screen record it. That's the sad thing.
That sucks, man. I gotta figure out I need to get another number so I can have a second account. By the way, Darth, I can't, can you check the messages in the back really quick?
Well, another option.
There's no messages there.
Well, right, because don't forget.
Okay. Another option is that if you started the room, you can download the audio replay, and you'll have the audio. And then.
And what do I do from there?
Well, you could just upload the audio to YouTube and stick some picture up. Like you could stick like a picture.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Here's what you can do. No, here's what you can do. Club Deck. You know what Club Deck is?
From my PC or from my Apple, right? Laptop?
Yeah. What you can do is you can download a Club Deck. You got to log off on your phone. Log in on Club Deck on some account, all right? And go to that thing, and then you on Club Deck on your computer, you do whatever means you use. You use an audio and screen capture. Okay. There is a company out there that's, I'm trying to remember what app it is. I think they're the same company that makes Audio Hijack Pro. But if you can screen and audio record on a computer or a PC using Club Deck. But you're just gonna have to let it run in the background or do it while you're sleeping.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I normally use my iPad if I'm going to do that. I got you.
Maybe anybody.
Welcome, Vio. Did you have a question or anything you want to say? I know if you've been up here for a little while.
Does anybody what's Sunni again? I don't know what's Sunni. I don't know anything about
Sunni is a sect of Islam. It's the biggest, largest sect. So Islam is split between the Sunni and the Shia sect. The biggest disagreement with them, although they share the same Quran, they share different hadiths.
Okay. Thanks.
But yeah, so Vio, did you have a question or anything you want to say?
So let me get this correct, Kong. It's a sect of Islam.
Think of it like so it's think of it like Catholics and Orthodox.
Okay, Catholics and Orthodox. So it's like Christian, but it's like a different sect?
Yeah.
Okay, so Islam is like, okay, there's the sect, let me see, I wrote this down. There's Sunni, and Shia is a sect of Quran, right? Right?
Yeah, it's a sect of Islam.
It's sect of Islam. Okay, let me write that down. I don't want to forget, because I forget stuff.
No problem. But yeah, I'm gonna get ready and shut down this room. My phone's on low battery. But
Thank you.
Sure. You
But yeah,
can,
in general, if they want to debate, Tawheed, the Trinity, get them to debate on Tawheed at the same time, and classify the sect. Because then there are certain arguments that they can and cannot use. Not about being branded a heretic or double standards.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I'll just do more research, and I guess when I'm ready, then I'll do it. But I'm still learning.
No, you need to. Okay, so so for instance, the most popular Muslims on YouTube, they're all Atharis, but the majority of Muslims are either Asharis or Mutaridis. So you need to know who you're dealing with when dealing with them, understanding when dealing with them.
Yeah, I'll look into it, and
Yeah.
maybe like a message message each other so you can open
Just
the room.
okay. Just look up the debate on that Khalil and Donnie had with Jake, and he has a very good one that breaks down different sects of Islam.
yeah, I know
That has a very good summary of it.
Yeah,
But he's mainly Muslim, but and he's quite a good guy to talk with. So he's a reasonable guy to talk with. So I don't have much of a beef with him. So yeah.
yeah. I remember one time I wasn't ready. I told him, I'll be honest, I was not ready. But if they follow the Quran and everything, I just how should I say? I just argue based on what the Quran says, and I just do it like that. I don't try to, because they'll always want to talk about our Christian Bible. It already affirms it, so I just talk
No,
about...
they don't. They always want to, but then Christians will always just ask them for the attack them on the continuity.
Contingency.
Islam does not win the continuity basis. Christians do win the continuity. Because so let's just say that Christians do have the wrong. Okay, let's say the Bible is. Let's just grant and entertain them on the thing that the Bible is corrupt, right?
Okay.
But then say, okay, then ask them to prove that they have the succession of continuity. That is not similar to what a Jehovah's Witness or a Mormon would tell me, and they would be completely. They can't. The fact is, they cannot. Not without the original. Not without the original revelation.
The original
Revelation. The original revelation. So, what was the original Torah, or what was the original Injil? That's the biggest weakness when dealing with them.
Well, they'll tell you that because it disagrees with the Quran, that's how they know it's corrupt.
Yeah, that's like speaking to a Jehovah's Witnesses or a Mormon. So what difference are they? They're just another cult. If they want to play the difference in Revelation.
Well,
They have the burden of proof the continuity.
Yeah. So, as one researcher said, and people mistakenly think of Islam as a kind of separate religion, it is simply a bastardization and a derivational cult of Christianity.
Yeah, they have to say that the Quran is the Quran is. We have the right. You have to come to us to correct it, and we can't. We have to trust it. The Quran to trust the correction of the Christian Bible. We can't go to, but they burn the copies. Oh no, not the copies, but they burn the original manuscript. They burn it up, so we can't even go look if that's even if we have it's the Quran. So we have to just rely on just believe that
No, just focus on the they don't win the history discussion, so they rely on the they don't win the history discussion, so they just resort to other methods.
I just like to just go. What you said earlier, Carl, you said something. I'll put in my words like.
No, they will never debate. They will never debate the historical things with Christians. It's not their strong suit. They'll always target the contradiction of the Trinity. But then, if that's the case, then they should also be debating about Tawhid. That's what I always recommend. Figure out what the sect is, then formulate your arguments based on that.
There's the Tawhid. Let me write that stuff down.
Get to know your church history. Get to know get to know my recommendation is know your church history, know your creeds before you do 2 years of reading before you consider doing it.
Do the Muslim.
Do at least 2 years of reading on church history and other things before reading it.
Read the Tawhid.
I mean, Tawhid. It's but know your position well enough first, though. That's what I'm trying to say. Know your own position, then read, and also understanding the different various what they believe about God.
I just want them to believe what the Quran says. I don't care if they believe.
Thank you. No, thank you.